Are there things that ResultsPlus doesn't keep track of that you wish it did? Is there information about constituents that you'd like to record that's not already in the data entry fields or database? Do you wish you could create your own database table? You can by creating a custom table. When you create a custom table, you define each of the fields and assign names to them. Once you're done, you'll have an edit area that you can access from the executive summary of each of your constituent records. You can also use custom table fields in mail merges and queries. Some nonprofit organizations don't need additional tables, but for those who do, custom tables can be very helpful in tracking things like volunteer activities, information about constituents' families, or participation in events. Before you create a custom table, you need to know which fields you want to include and what kind of data each field will contain. While custom tables provide a lot of flexibility, if you create too many of them or don't use them consistently, the data in them will not be useful. In this tutorial, we'll create a custom table to keep track of information about our volunteers. We'd like to be able to identify which constituents are volunteers, their key and secondary skills, and the date they started working for us. We'll create a table named Volunteer to keep track of the following information: the most important skill that the volunteer can bring to our organization, secondary skills they have that might be useful, and the date on which they first started volunteering. Custom tables are accessed in the Edit Areas list on the right side of the executive summary. When you create a custom table, ResultsPlus will add a link to it at the end of the Edit Areas list. Please note, to create custom tables, you must have access to the Administration tab. To create a custom table, click the Design Custom Tables Edit Areas button on the Administration tab. The first thing we need to do is enter a name for our custom table. We'll call it Volunteer. Note the letter X at the start of the custom table name. All custom tables start with the letter X. This distinguishes them from other tables and edit areas. ResultsPlus will add the X at the front of the custom table name automatically. Once we enter the custom table name, we click OK. ResultsPlus opens the Custom Table Designer. In the top right corner are settings that apply to the entire table. Let's take a closer look. The first setting asks if there will be one volunteer record for each constituent or more than one. We're using this custom table to track skills and a start date for each constituent. So for each constituent, there will be one volunteer record. If we were tracking volunteer activities and creating a new record each time a constituent volunteered, then for each constituent there might be many volunteer records, and we would select one to many. The next option, Automatically Maintain Auditing for this table, tells ResultsPlus to keep track of when and by whom the table was created and updated. We recommend you leave this option selected. The last option, this table stores detail information for another custom table, enables you to create child tables off of a custom table. We won't worry about that in this tutorial. Now let's return to the full view of the Custom Table Designer. The large area on the left is where you add fields to your table. In the blank area on the first line, we'll type the first field name, Primary Skill. Then we'll tab to the next field. We want to store a single text value in this field, such as making calls or stuffing envelopes. So we'll click the drop-down arrow, scroll down, and select Text. Then we'll tab to the next field, Description, and enter Most Useful Skill. When you're doing this yourself, you may notice that the area in the bottom right of the screen changes as you define fields. This area is labeled Field Details. As you define each of the fields in your custom table, ResultsPlus will create an entry in this area where you can provide more information. For example, you can set a default value so that each time you add ex-volunteer table information for a constituent, ResultsPlus will automatically default the value in this field to something like stuffing envelopes. You can also indicate whether this field is required to be filled in before you can save changes to the table. The settings available in this area vary depending on the field type you selected. Now let's go back to the full view of the Custom Table Designer. We now have one field named Primary Skill, which holds up to 50 characters and defaults to stuffing envelopes. Let's go ahead and add our other two fields. Any secondary skills they have that might be useful, and the date on which they first started volunteering. We'll call our second field Other Skills. Because we want to add multiple values in this field, a list of other useful skills the constituent has, we'll choose the field type of Array. And we'll add a description of Other Useful Skills. Now we just need to add one more field, when they first volunteered. We'll name the field Start Date. We'll select a field type of Date and add a description of First Date Volunteered. Now we've got our three fields and we're ready to save our custom table. ResultsPlus will display the following message. If you click the Set Security Now button, ResultsPlus will open the Workgroups window, so you can grant either read-only or edit access to one or more workgroups. If you click I'll do it later, the table will remain hidden from all workgroups until you grant access. Once you do grant access to the custom table, it will appear at the end of the list of edit areas, together with any other custom tables, which will also start with the letter X. This completes the tutorial on creating a custom table.